You're listening to Straight Outta Stratford 203 with Zach and Julian, the best sports podcast in Connecticut. Sit back and enjoy the ride in 3, 2, 1.
Straight out of Stratford, slinging takes like Stafford, talking all the big games, have a beer right after. When it comes to the facts and the stats we provide, better know that our names will be up in the rafters.
What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Straight Outta Stratford podcast, episode number 38. I'm your host, Zach.
And I'm Julian.
And we are back, baby. And not only are we back, but there is one other thing that is back, and that is the MLB baseball season is officially upon us. Baseball is back. And aren't we all excited? We had a couple games yesterday, obviously one game on Wednesday, which was the Yankees season opener versus the San Francisco Giants, which the Yankees took home the first win of the year, winning 7-0.
Despite Judge going 0 for 5, which that's not great.
0 for 5 with 4 strikeouts. Now, we will talk about him in a couple seconds, but I do want to talk about somebody who did play very well in that game, and that is the pitcher, Max Fried. Max Fried was very efficient in his outing, going 6 1/3 inning with only 2 hits, no runs allowed, 1 walk, and only struck out 4, but very efficient in the win for the Yankees. Obviously, finished the game 7-0, so he does end up contributing to a full shutout. But
that was his first opening day win, too.
Yeah, and he pitched very, very well in the game. The Yankees start off on the right foot, which is a good thing. I know in prior years, you could always start out hot or, even getting the first win in the books, but you got to be able to finish too. But at least for the sake of the start of the season, finding a win in the first game against San Francisco, especially a shutout, is always a good thing. Max Fried came to play. Unfortunately, like the guy that we just mentioned, Mr. Aaron Judge did not show up to play as he goes 0 for 5 with 4 strikeouts. Definitely not his best look. Little stat that I found fairly interesting from the game is every single Yankee starter had a hit in that game except for him. Which is very shocking, especially with the way that we know that Aaron Judge is known to be the captain and the star player of the Yankees, but yet in the first game he was the only one without a hit. Very surprised by that.
I'm surprised, but in a way, in my eyes, I kind of looked. I mean, I'm not saying it was a good thing, but I kind of viewed it as that because when you think about it, right? Last year, the Yankees offense relied on Aaron Judge.
That they did.
And it relied on him hitting home runs, right?
Mm-hmm. Of course.
And especially against a pitcher in Logan Webb who isn't really that bad.
No, Logan Webb's
pretty good. He's one of the best in the league. And for Judge to go 0 for 5 in the game and them to still put up 7 runs goes to show you that maybe this year the offense won't rely on Judge.
Yeah, and they definitely need to be able to do that because there are going to be games like this where Judge does not put up a single hit. And in prior years, you saw if there was a game like that the Yankees did not score at all.
Exactly.
So the fact that they were able to win a game without Aaron Judge even registering 1 hit, it's not bad, especially 7 runs. They did get their production from guys like Grisham and McMahon.
I think, hot take.
Okay.
Caballero should start over Volpe.
Oh, I was already going to say that anyway. That shouldn't even really be a hot take. That's just common knowledge. But yeah, no, Grisham and McMahon both had 2 RBIs.
Grisham had a triple.
Yeah. Caballero and Stanton both had 1 RBI apiece, and then they did have a run that came on an error. I believe it was on a Jazz Chisholm infield hit, and they ended up throwing the ball away. So they end up scoring their 7 runs. But again, like I said, overall, very good performance from the Yankees. They could just get a little bit of production from Judge, but we know that, it's only 1 game. That will come over time. He's still one of the better players in the league, if not one of the best. So, it's a little bit of a shocker, but at the end of the day, he's going to rebound from it. Not only did the New York Yankees win yesterday, but the New York Mets also ended up winning their first game of the season.
That was a crazy game.
Yeah, and as a Mets fan, it did feel good to bring home the win, but I know a lot of people were mostly talking about Paul Skeens. Now, Paul Skeens
I feel like he got way too comfortable playing with Team USA.
Well, I don't know if it's just that.
I don't even know if it was that, but
no.
I guess, I'm not saying he was comfortable, but I mean, he thought that, if I throw a bad pitch, my defense will pick it up, kind of thing.
Well, and clearly the defense did not pick it up because
O'Neal Cruz is
yeah, but here's the way I'll put it is I don't necessarily think that Skeens had his worst stuff. I mean, he did not have his best stuff, clearly, but I would not blame that loss on Paul Skeens at all. The big one to blame is O'Neal Cruz. You have O'Neal Cruz misjudging a fly ball.
he shouldn't be in center field.
No, he should not. He should either be shortstop, which is his natural position, or he should be a DH. But again, Brett Beatty hits a line drive to him in the first inning with the bases loaded. He takes a step in instead of taking a step back, which, I mean, I learned this in Little League Baseball. If you're playing the outfield, your first step is always back.
Yep.
And the first thing he did is he stepped forward and the ball goes over his head. That's exactly why.
You take 1 or 2 steps back, and then if it goes in, you have to run in. If not, you just...
Well, you would rather allow a single and block it than step in and watch the ball go over your head and them score 3 runs from it. So, I mean, that was pretty bad. And then the Marcus Semien pop-up to him in center field, which, I mean, he lost it in the sun, but again...
He took a step in.
Well, he not only did he take a step in again, but... It's a sunny day.
You're not wearing sunglasses.
Why are you not wearing sunglasses? Especially in the outfield where you know you're going to have pop-ups hit to you and you're going to have to look directly up like this. So, I mean, I think that he was the big factor for why the Mets scored as many runs as they did. But regardless, the Mets score 5 runs in the first inning, ended up getting some pretty decent production. Freddie Peralta makes his Mets debut pitching. I don't really think that he had his best stuff either. He really didn't look that great. The only positive that I saw from it was he did register 7 strikeouts, which was huge. But other than that, he did allow 6 hits, 4 runs. He allowed 2 home runs, both to Brandon Lau, the first one in the first inning, after O'Neal Cruz gets a single, and then the next pitch.
Wait, Lau hit 2 home runs yesterday?
Yeah. O'Neal Cruz, first batter of the game, gets a base hit in a late count, and then Brandon Lau steps up to the plate in the first pitch of the at-bat. Brandon Lau takes it and pulls it to right field, puts it over the right field fence. Gave the Mets a nice little deficit to start. That was a little bit of a concern. After that, he did start to pitch a little bit better. He settled in fairly nice up until he saw Brandon Lau again in the third inning where Lau once again hit a home run. Again, Peralta did not really have his best stuff. The only thing that I was, like I said, happy about is that he was able to at least sit a lot of batters down with the strikeout. He's just got to work on not allowing as many home runs and trying to keep, not as many pop-ups, focus more on trying to get some more ground balls. Obviously, it's, not easy to do, but again, I think he could have been better, but it's, game 1 of the season. There's going to be improvement. I wouldn't be surprised if he could turn it around in later outings in the year. But again, the Mets production, they get a 3 RBI triple from Brett Beatty in that first inning. They have the pop-up from Marcus Semien, which ends up being dropped, which ended up scoring Brett Beatty from third base. They also did get some production from guys new and old. You see Bo Bichette had a sac fly in the first inning to actually get the Mets up on the board. Juan Soto has an RBI single in the game. You had Polanco, who drew a bases-loaded walk, let in another run. Luis Robert Jr. had an RBI infield single. But then the 2 that really put a mark on the Mets lead was the rookie Carson Bench having his first career hit, which ends up being a home run. What a blast from him. Big celebration from him. He gave the curtain call to the fans from the dugout after. And then the following batter, Francisco Alvarez, pimps a home run himself. Yeah, it was pretty good. I think that the Mets scoring 11 runs in the first game shows that maybe no Eric Chavez was a good thing. So, very good foot to start out on. Way to get a W. Obviously, you're going to have to win more games than just one. It's a 162-game season for a reason. So, we shall see what happens. But even Tobias Myers didn't really pitch too bad for the Mets either. He, only pitched 3 innings, allowed 1 home run to Ryan O'Hearn, which ended up coming in the 6th inning. Luis Garcia came in for the last inning, did allow 2 runs, but the Mets had already, given themselves enough insurance. So not a bad start from both New York teams in baseball. Obviously, a lot more of season to go, so they're really going to have to start stringing some wins together and really piecing it. But so far, not a bad look, scoring 7 and 11 runs for both New York ball clubs. We will go to the NBA real quick. I know that there wasn't really much crazy news. But the three things that we will kind of talk about, one of them has more to do with the actual league itself, whereas the others has to do more with individual players. But I don't know if you saw, the NBA Board of Governors posted that they approved a vote for the league to explore bids and applicants for expansion teams in Las Vegas and Seattle. So it looks...
I feel like that's become a popular spot.
It has. I know that they've rumored Vegas for a while, and, the Seattle Supersonics were a thing that a lot of fans were upset when they left and moved to Oklahoma City. So it looks like we're going to end up seeing by the 2028-2029 season that the league will be expanded from 30 teams to 32 teams. Hopefully, if they do bring back a team in Seattle, it is the return of the Seattle Supersonics. That would be the first time that they would get a team since 2008. The Supersonics had been there for 41 years before moving. And then also Vegas. I know a lot of people have talked about there being a potential team in Vegas. I know LeBron James has talked about being a potential owner or minority owner to one of the teams if they end up expanding and bringing a team to Las Vegas. It should be interesting to see.
Two goats, minority owner stake in Vegas.
That would be pretty cool, though. I know now, obviously, the team names, no one knows what the team name for Vegas would be. At least for Seattle, you'd have an idea. It would be the Supersonics.
Now, that leads me to one question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm assuming if they do go to Seattle for Supersonics, that they take their history with them, I guess, stripped away from OKC. Would you think? Because if Seattle Supersonics, right, if they have their own arena and everything,
mm-hmm.
and all their banners and stuff are being held in Oklahoma City's arena,
you would think that it would get sent back to Seattle.
You would think that it would get sent back to Seattle, right?
I would assume. I would definitely assume that it probably would. I think it would be stupid if they left it in OKC, but maybe they decide not to go with the Supersonics and they change it to something else.
No,
I think it would be a dropped opportunity.
If there is a team in Seattle, they already said it's going to be the Supersonics.
And it should be. It very well should be. It would be awesome for them to bring that back because, like I said, they had a massive fan following and fan base. A lot of people did like Seattle. I like the old throwback jerseys with the green and yellow. I thought that they were really cool.
It's pretty ironic because Kevin Durant's contract with the Rockets expires in 2027.
Maybe he makes his return to Seattle.
They're saying people are speculating that him and Westbrook play their last season together
for the Supersonics
in 2028.
That would be pretty cool. I would hope that would happen, but who knows?
I know Gary Payton II said that once the team gets, once the Supersonics become a team, he'd be requested to play for that team. Request a trade to that team because his dad played for that team.
Maybe.
He said that he wants to play where his dad played.
That would be pretty nostalgic if it does happen. So I think that would be a good look for the league, and I feel like, again, bringing back Seattle, bringing back the Supersonics would be awesome for the NBA. I know, like I said, massive following. A lot of people love them. It's just got that old school retro basketball feel. So I really hope they do. But that was just one thing that we could touch on. And you also have two other things that involve more players. Giannis Antetokounmpo, backed by the NBPA, the Players Association, as the Milwaukee Bucks have tried to make sure that he sat the rest of the season to rest him and kind of follow through with their tanking process, and Giannis is not on board with that at all. He wants to play, and he put in a claim with the NBAPA, and they did back him, saying that if Giannis was healthy and ready to play, that they claim that the anti-tanking policies are only as effective as their enforcement, so they believe that the product suffers if a star player is healthy and is not on the court. I think that that's a good move. Even though I know Giannis is on a team right now that's currently sitting, I believe, 9 games out of the play-in with 10 games left to go. So the chances are they're probably not making the playoffs regardless. So that's kind of why Milwaukee wants to tank and sit him. But at the end of the day, he's healthy. You know, I know he wants to play.
He's the Greek freak for a reason.
He is, and it's. I think the thing is, I know that he's not really happy with the whole situation with where Milwaukee stands right now, but he loves the game of basketball. The guy wants to be on the court. He wants to play in front of his fans. I can understand why he wanted to do that.
Now, does this lead to an off season of more speculation that Giannis is done with the Bucks.
Yes, and to be honest with you, I think it's the best move for him to get away from the Bucks because the Bucks have made it clear that they are more interested about their organization rather than the player himself.
I feel like they're also more interested about their future than they are about the
Well,
present.
of course, and they know that right now that they're not really necessarily close to building a contender like they did a couple years ago when they won the NBA championship with Giannis. This is a much different roster. It's constructed a lot differently. There's a lot of older players that are on the team right now that I don't think will be there in the future, and I know that Milwaukee wants to go a different direction, and I think if they're smart that they do move off of him because they could get so much in return for him.
Well, he's 30, what? He's like 30.
Doesn't matter. He's still one of the premier talents in the NBA when he's healthy, and I think that there will be teams. I'm not saying that the Knicks would be one of them, but I know that the Knicks do have interest, and Giannis has interest in New York, that would probably offer a pretty substantial package to get a player like Giannis on their roster.
Cat Bridges 2 firsts.
I would not be surprised. Well, it also depends on how the rest of the NBA season does play out because I think that will be a factor into what direction a lot of teams move. Like if the Knicks were to find a way to win the NBA championship, I don't know if they go that same route. I think that they probably stick with what they've got and just focus on maybe signing a free agent.
If they find a way to make the championship and don't win it, Cat Bridges.
Maybe.
2 firsts.
I think there are a lot of teams that will definitely be considering him. It's just where does Giannis want to go? Well, yeah, Golden State could do it too.
One thing that you don't have here, but happened this week was, speaking of Golden State, was it Kevon Looney or was it?
No, Moses Moody.
Moses Moody.
Yeah, with the gruesome knee injury on non-contact. Yeah, that did not look pretty at all. Prayers up to him, hopefully for a speedy recovery. That was not fun to watch. Definitely caught a lot of people's eyes, but also gave their stomach a couple rumbles too.
His knee bone was like,
it was poking. It just
something
was
you don't want to see for a guy.
No, you'd never want to see that with anybody in any professional sport. That was horrible.
That was nasty.
Yeah, that was gross. I mean, I've seen worse injuries like the Kevin Ware injury years ago, and even Paul George when he broke his leg. I mean, there have been some really bad ones.
There was a really bad one in college when the bone was sticking through.
That was Kevin Ware.
Yeah, Kevin Ware
at Louisville. That was during the NCAA tournament. That was for March Madness, and it was disgusting.
That was absolutely
That was horrible to watch. But yeah, no, definitely prayers up to Moses Moody. I know that was definitely not expected and kind of disgusting.
What I'm confused about, right, is you see him going up for a dunk. When does the injury actually happen?
I think it was when he landed. It was when he was taking off. I don't know if his leg bent a certain way.
I don't think it was the leg he took off from though.
No, I don't think it was either. But it may have just been the transfer of it, and I don't know how or what happened. I mean, I know what happened, but I'm saying I don't know what got the injury to happen like that. But again, definitely not something that you would want to see from anybody. That was tough to watch. Like I said, I've seen some bad injuries before. That was a pretty bad one. Just not a good look. Hopefully he can recover. I know a lot of players on Golden State were visibly disgusted by it, as you would hope, or
Steph
you would
was,
think.
A lot of people were.
Draymond was too. You could see it in his face. So that was definitely tough.
Whoever they were playing too, where they were like, immediately the staff saw his knee and they waved.
Yeah, they were waving
people over immediately.
Yeah, that was not good. But then you also do have one other injury, but obviously this one has happened a while ago, but it was announced by the Memphis Grizzlies that Ja Morant will be ruled out for the remainder of the regular season, the season, because I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs, probably not. But yeah, Ja Morant's out for the remainder of the season due to a UCL sprain in his left elbow. They made the announcement saying that he needs to have a patelate-rich plasma injection to help heal the injury. They won't require surgery for it, but he's expected to make a full recovery before the start of next season. I mean, he has really struggled with injuries over the past couple seasons.
I'm going to bring this up. Is this the end of Ja Morant's career in the NFL? I mean, the NBA?
No.
No?
No. I think that maybe it's the end of his time in Memphis. I do not think it's the end of his time in the NBA. I mean, Listen, he's only played 20 games this season. He's played 79 in the last 3, which is definitely questionable. But he's averaged 19.5 points. There are other teams that would be willing to take a waiver on him and say, listen, that you could either be a starter on a bottom feeding team or maybe a team that needs a point guard, or you go with somebody that just needs the depth. Maybe he ends up being a 6th man off the bench. No one knows, but I definitely don't think it's the end of his career.
The only team I don't want to see him go to is OKC.
Oh, listen, don't even bring that up. I really hope that would not be the case. I doubt that it is, but I could potentially see maybe a team like Miami's still being interested in him. I know that Eric Spoelstra is very good for their culture as well, so maybe it could kind of help Ja with the off-court, dealings and stuff to make sure he can kind of stay out of trouble and not.
Miami would not be the spot for him to go to stay out of trouble.
Well, I know. Hey, you know what? They're a big culture thing, though. Like I said, Eric Spoelstra.
That doesn't mean nothing, dude.
I'm telling you, it could. It could.
Ja Morant's gonna be in Miami. He's going to be like, ooh, there's clubs, there's women, there's alcohol, there's booze. Let's go start some trouble.
Yeah, well, you would hope that, as he starts to mature, because he's not really as young as he once was.
He hasn't even matured a bit.
Well, you know what? People change. People said the same thing about Odell Beckham Jr. when he signed with the Rams, and look at what happened. So
he went in his second prime.
But again, maybe that's what happens with Ja Morant is he goes into his second prime and figures it out. So you can't jump on it just yet, but again, it's very possible that he does go somewhere else. I don't think it's the end of his NBA career.
I think his second prime had something to do with Matt Stafford kind of reminding him of how Eli played.
Yeah.
And
maybe. Well, it's also, like I said, it was a winning culture. They were already starting to win games before
he also didn't have to be a wide receiver 1. I don't think that had a big thing to do with it.
He was originally supposed to be the wide receiver 3.
Yeah.
Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, and him. And then Robert Woods went down with an injury, and he stepped up and was the number 2. But again, just to say it, Ja Morant is definitely not going to end his career just yet. I don't think that he stays with Memphis. I'm curious to see where he actually does go. But again, he's going to miss the remainder of the season. Very smart move for Memphis. They're going to have to try and get a better draft pick to load up, too.
One thing I do want to talk about quickly, what I have on here again is I like how players are becoming more vocal about their views on reporters and analysts and people on talk shows, especially Josh Hart.
Oh, yeah. Well, supposedly
Josh Hart told Stephen A. Smith to stop being a part-time Knicks fan and just choose a fan base.
Well, and then Stephen A. Smith actually gave him a response I saw this morning that said, listen, I've been in the locker rooms for at least, 10 to 12 years, probably longer than that. I got to pull up the full response. I saw it this morning, and I was just like, oh, yeah, Stephen A. was not playing around when he made that response.
But he doesn't know what he's talking about sometimes.
Listen, you know what? You could say that about a lot of the analysts that are out there, but this guy has been in the basketball world for quite a while. Now, granted, has he stepped over the line a little bit with what he said? Sure. I wouldn't be surprised. Here's the full response that he made. I believe it was on his talk show. It was. I just love how people ignore the resume. Let me say this about myself. So I spent 20 years covering the NBA. I'm on the road and in locker rooms for over 100 games a year, damn near 120 games a year when you take into account the playoffs and the multitude of locker rooms that I have to go into. And because my success on television has me in the studio, I'm not there at games the way I used to be. As the result, I'm not going to know the players the way that I used to know the players. I don't know expletive, really. Well, what about 99% of the sports commentators and pundits on television and radio and on newspapers and .com sites and podcasts all over the country, if not the world? Do they have to know you? What did I say about the New York Knicks that requires me to know anybody? First of all, you don't know who I am. Second of all, you don't know who talks to me. Thirdly, you don't even know how close I am to the people that cut your checks. Josh Hart, clearly you haven't done your homework. He was not very happy about that. Now, granted, I can understand where Stephen A. Smith comes from because there are a lot of people that, including us, I'm not saying that we go into depth on it like some of the other analysts do, but there are a lot of us that will bring our opinions and our thoughts in here, whether it be about baseball, football, basketball, hockey, soccer, golf, tennis, whatever, so be it, whatever. But none of us are going to know the full details like the person like Josh Hart would know himself. Obviously, his relationship with Mikal Bridges, the only people that are going to know about the relationship are the people in the locker room that are with them and those two alone. So, I mean, when you do touch on the topic, you're going to get roasted like that. So, for Stephen A. Smith,
I feel like
he's wrong there. But again,
I feel like the relationship with him and Bridges is more than people in the locker room talk about and what's on the court, because we know he went to college with him.
And Jalen.
And Dante, even though Dante's not on the team anymore.
Yep.
Which I would have loved to see the four of them play together.
That would have been awesome.
But I mean, he's sticking up for his boy, you know?
Yeah, but the thing is, like I said, I've had this conversation or talked about this statement with multiple other people. Two sides of a argument could potentially be true. Now, I think
actually there's three. His side, Stephen A's side, and then there's the truth.
Well, regardless, here's what I was going to say on it, though. Is Stephen A correct about, being able to talk about what he wants to do or talk about what he knows on his show? Absolutely. It's his podcast. He's been an analyst for God knows how many years. And like I said, he's been in and out of the locker rooms. I've seen him around basketball for a long time. Was it the right way to speak on it? No. On the other side of it, though, Josh Hart does bring up a good point that, a lot of the analysts, not just Stephen A., but many others, maybe push a boundary a little bit too much and say some things that they may not be 100% fully educated on, and they're either taking a wild guess or making an opinion or making their thought process understood. So I can understand where the argument comes from. I get it. Definitely not the brightest part on Stephen A. to maybe step in and talk about the relationships of the players and how it affects them. But at the end of the day, they got to cover something. And that's something that Stephen A. Smith knows very well, is to be able to talk and push, certain talking points that go viral. So I get it. So for Josh Hart to be mad at that, he has every right to be. But again, it's like, it's two children fighting for no reason. It's really dumb. Stephen A's just trying to do his job. Obviously, he stepped over a line a little bit, but Josh Hart doesn't need to go out of his way and explain to, Stephen A. Smith that he doesn't know the relationship, because nobody does, except for him and Mikal Bridges and the guys in the locker room. So, again, very, very stupid thing to be going back and forth on. But
there's a lot of people who view Stephen A. Smith as a guy who doesn't know what he's talking about, but there are people that are way worse than him.
Oh, listen.
Like Mel Kiper is really bad.
Hold on. Even
Colin Cowherd.
No, because, listen, I watch a lot of sports analysts, a ton of them. I watch Nick Wright. I watch Colin Cowherd. I watch who else? Like Mel Kiper. I watch some of the guys from the NHL, and whether it be the NBA. These guys are on television for a reason. Are they going to know everything perfectly? No. There's no analyst that will ever do that, because in sports in sports journalism and being an analyst, you are never going to perfectly say everything. It's not going to happen. You are going to have points that are wrong. You are going to have points that are right. And a lot of people will judge what happens more frequently, if they're right more frequently or they're wrong. There's a lot of things that Stephen A. Smith has said that have been completely wrong. But do you know why Stephen A. Smith is on television? Because
he gets views.
Because he's entertaining, and because there are a lot of points that he brings up that are 100% correct. There are a lot of people that don't know sports at all and couldn't even have the conversation with you about it. So this is why they are on TV. This is why this is their profession. This is something that me and you are doing right now. We're sitting in a booth, we have our own show here, and we talk about sports. Now, there are a lot of things that we bring stats into it, but at the end of the day, there are a lot of opinion-based things, like when the Mets, lost Pete Alonso. I was in here furious saying, I don't want to be a Mets fan anymore, and freaking out. Was it because I genuinely meant it? Some part of me, yes. Some part of me, no. But it's because it's the virality. You're trying to get views. You're trying to draw an audience. That's what these guys do. And that's what we've tried to do. So I can understand, again, basically to wrap that up, I can understand why Josh Hart was a little bit upset because Stephen A. Smith spoke on a topic that's a little bit sensitive to touch on. I get it. But at the end of the day, Stephen A. Smith is on television for a reason. He's trying to do it to get views. I wouldn't have even really gotten wrapped up into it that much. I don't think it's that serious. I think that it's being overplayed. But the fact that Stephen A. gave a response like this is just going to open the door for there to be more. Exactly. It's just going to add more fuel to the fire. It's going to give an excuse for Josh Hart to come back with an answer. It really should have never even been talked about. But again, welcome to sports television, where it ends up being more drama than it ends up being sports. What a shocker. But yeah, no, that's enough on that topic. I'm just going to cover something really quickly, which has to do with the NHL, because we did have a couple teams clinch playoff spots in the past couple of days, as well as some teams being eliminated from playoff contention. The two teams that did clinch are the Colorado Avalanche and the Dallas Stars, both out of the Western Conference. Very impressive showings from them thus far this season. Colorado is in first place and most likely to win the President's Trophy. They should be considered as the favorites to win the Stanley Cup. Not really a surprise.
No, that's not always the case.
Well, they've been good over the past couple years when you have guys like Nathan McKinnon, Cale Makar, and look at the stats that they've had.
Colorado
this year.
does have a better GM than the Rangers do, so you know what?
That's not saying much.
Well, no, I was referencing when the Rangers won the President's Cup, and
well, that could also be a curse though too, because there are not many teams that have won the President's Trophy and won the Stanley Cup. I think the last one to do it was Chicago, and that was a while ago. But anyway, if you look at Colorado, they lead the league in wins. They lead the league in goals. They lead the league in goals against. They have the number one save percentage from their goalies. They lead the league in shots on goal per game. They're fourth in even strength offensive zone time. They're second in penalty kill percentage. They're fourth in shutouts. They literally dominate almost every facet of the game. There's a reason why they are in first place by as many games as they are. They should be considered the favorites. They have the depth. They have the strength and speed and star power. It's not really a surprise. Same thing with Dallas. They are, or most likely should be, a tough out in the playoffs. They sit second in the league standings, 97 points right now, only trailing Colorado. Eighth in goals for the season, second in goals against, second in power play percentage. They've been one of the most effective even strength teams in the league this year. Basically could take down pretty much anybody, and the big thing with them is if they're tied with you in even strength and they get a power play opportunity, they will be good enough to get themselves some extra leads. So do not be surprised if they make themselves a little bit more of a run this year. As for the eliminated teams, not really much great to talk about for Vancouver. I know it's been a rough season for them, losing their captain Quinn Hughes in the trade as they obviously focus on a full rebuild at this point in their future. They got a lot of stuff that they're going to have to work on, but the other team that was eliminated the other night was the New York Rangers.
No surprise. Not a shocker.
Yep, they lost to the Toronto Maple Leafs 4-3 in Toronto. Yeah, not really a great season. There has been a lot of positives that you can pull from it, however. Like the elevation in play after the trade deadline from Alexis Lafreniere, something I talked about last episode. Zibanejad having a resurgence year. Gabe Perreault has been great.
I saw the other day everybody dressed up as Zibanejad because it was his 100th game. 1,000th game as a Ranger.
Yep, they put on all the wigs and stuff. That was a nice little tribute. Obviously, they could not get the win that night. What a shocker. But yeah, no.
You've been with the team for that long?
Yeah, he's been with the team for a little while now. I think it's probably been close to like 5 years, I think, something like that. But yeah, no, he's been an exclusive part of the Rangers organization, and I was definitely hard on him.
I thought it was 100 games, not 1,000.
No, 100 games. That would be done in 1 year.
How many games?
They play 82 games a year, basically. And if he's been in the league for a long time, so he's way past 100. I can promise you that. Yeah, but I know I was a little bit.
He hasn't played 1,000 with the Rangers, has he?
I think that was just no. Because no. It's not 1,000 with the Rangers. Probably 1,000 total. Yeah, but what I was saying was, at least for the Rangers' sake, as a Rangers fan, I was kind of tough on him. I know social media was tough on him last year because he definitely did not have a good year. And he came out this year after losing his friend Kreider in the trade that sent Kreider to Anaheim. A lot of people thought that Mika would take another step back and just kind of fall off, and he's been quite a pleasant surprise. He leads the team in basically every single category. Very effective year from him this year. The way that he's kind of bounced back and ignored all of the negativity on the insides and outsides of the Rangers culture, locker room, social media, and stuff. He's been very, very good this year. I'm kind of happy that it happened with him. That's definitely a positive sign.
It was his 1,000th game in the NHL.
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah. I had a feeling. I knew it wasn't with the Rangers. He's probably got like a couple hundred with the Rangers, like maybe, well, more than a couple hundred, probably like 600 games with the Rangers. But yeah, no. So again, a lot of good things that could be pulled from the Rangers season. There's still way more negatives, however. There's a lot of things that need to be worked on, a lot of holes that need to be filled, but the Rangers at least look at it in the sake of they have a lot of young guys that they feel that they can finally develop. They've moved off of a lot of money. They opened up some cap space. They should have an opportunity to sign some free agents in the coming seasons, but again, definitely not a pretty year from them. Being eliminated in the middle to end of March, definitely not something that Rangers fans are used to. This is the second year in a row that they've missed the playoffs, and definitely something not to be happy about. But again, there are a couple things, having a guy like Igor Shesterkin in net, Adam Fox is one of your premier defensemen, a couple young guys that are, 24 and 21 years old that are really starting to step up and become solid players. I like the play from Noah Laba a lot this year before he got hurt. Will Cooley did take a little step back, but he's still been fairly good.
Didn't someone make their debut like 2 days ago or something?
Yeah, Adam Sikora made his debut for the Rangers the other night against Toronto. I mean, he didn't really do much, but he's been okay. I feel like I said, he's probably not going to be with the main roster that much. I feel that there are a couple guys in the AHL that play for the Hartford Wolfpack, the Rangers affiliate team, that definitely should get a bump up. Like a guy like Brett Berard, he was on the team last year and played very well in the games that he was up at the NHL level. So again, couple things that really need to be fixed, but the season's basically over now. They only have a couple games left to play, so they'll ride out the remainder of the season and, kind of focus on the future after that.
Now,
on to the NFL.
Before we go into all the contracts and stuff, I want to talk about something that we saw on Wednesday, which I loved, which is active players in different leagues commentating other sports games. You saw that with Jameis Winston the other night.
Oh, yeah?
On the Netflix broadcast. He was on the pregame show. He was on the broadcast for half an inning. And Jameis Winston is just one of those people that you can't hate. You can't hate Jameis Winston.
That guy is a character.
He's a national treasure.
He's a character. And
when he is done playing, he has to be a reporter. Like there's no other career. He has to go into. He has to.
Either that, or he's got to be a coach of some sort. I don't know, but
or he has to have his own podcast or something.
Oh, he definitely should have his own podcast. That's a guarantee.
After the game on Wednesday during the post game interview, right? I forgot who was doing the actual interview, but the first thing Jameis asked was there was a food cart with food on it, and first thing he asked, he goes, "All right, Max, what do you want? What do you want to eat?" He doesn't even ask him how he thought of his performance. He goes, "What do you want to eat?" And then he said the same thing to Trent Grisham. And Trent goes, "Give me the fries."
Yeah. Jameis Winston's a character, man. He really is a character.
And then eating the W.
Yeah. Again, just that guy is out of his mind, but he's a good vibes guy.
I love Jameis.
It's hard not to. Yeah, so we'll start out with a little bit of the NFL contract news. We did see Jackson Smith-Njigba sign a 4-year, $168.6 million extension with Seattle.
To Cooper Kupp.
No, it's not really thanks to Cooper Kupp.
Well,
thanks to himself. I mean,
yeah, but you can't say Cooper Kupp didn't help him.
Well, he definitely did, but at the same time, he had $120 million guaranteed on the contract too, which I didn't get to say. He's now the highest paid receiver in the NFL. But after the season he had in 2025, there's a reason why he ended up getting a big deal this. 119 catches, 1,793 yards, 10 touchdowns, led the league in receiving yards. He was fourth in catches, tied for third in touchdowns, and obviously the most important thing of the season, he helped them win a Super Bowl.
Now, is the thing that I'm going to say, which could be true, was DK Metcalf holding him back?
I think that not. How can I word this? I don't think that Metcalf was holding him back. I think that the way that Seattle looked at it is they thought that Metcalf was the
number
better
one
receiver, so he didn't get as many targets. But I don't think that DK Metcalf solely held him back. I think that JSN was still good even when Metcalf was there. Because, I mean, I had JSN in fantasy football the last 2 years. I had him last year, or this past season, and the season prior. And he was an animal both years. He's been incredible. He's an unbelievable talent. Ohio State produces some insane talents, especially when it comes to the wide receiver position. I mean, like I said, there's always that argument, who's wide receiver you? Ohio State, LSU, Alabama. There's a lot of teams that are in that conversation.
I don't know if Bama's in the conversation.
Well, let's put it this way. They're probably not high up in the conversation, but they're definitely in the conversation. But, yeah, no. So there's a lot of talent that comes out of there, but JSN is just another name to come out of there. He's been fantastic for Seattle so far. He's cracked 1,000 yards receiving in those last 2 seasons. He's become Seattle's number 1 option. It's not really a surprise. It makes sense.
You know what I didn't realize? You know the picture of all of them on the bench when it's Garrett Wilson,
Chris Olave, Marvin Harrison, and him?
Yeah. You know who the player that is cut out of the photo is? Jeremiah Smith.
Yeah. And that's another name the NFL will see in a couple seasons.
I didn't notice that until the other day when I saw the full photo. So Jeremiah Smith sitting on the ground.
I'm telling you, just wait until he comes into the NFL because that kid is also going to be a superstar wide receiver.
Shouldn't he be in next year's draft class?
Yeah, he will be most likely, unless he decides to stay in college and get NIL money, which, I mean, if he goes to the NFL, he's going to be an immediate impact to whatever team he goes to. So don't be surprised to see his name up there. But, yeah, JSN.
He could go number 1.
No doubt. No doubt. And I wouldn't be surprised if maybe he does, depending on what team has the first pick. But, again, Seattle.
Better not be Kansas City.
No, please no. But, yeah, Seattle ends up paying him a high amount of money. It's $42 million a year. A lot of people were saying it's an overpay. I wouldn't necessarily say it's an overpay. Is it a little steep? Sure.
No.
But, again, it's not like he didn't deserve it.
That's why they didn't re-sign
Kenneth Walker.
Yeah. You know what I didn't realize? We didn't speak about the extensions that were given to PCA and Nico Horner.
Well, it's not really massive news, though.
I mean, it happened within the last 2 days.
It did, but it's not, massive news.
They did get a lot of money.
Well, Horner got an okay amount of money. PCA got a lot of money. But, yeah, trust me, it's not really as important. No disrespect to them either, though, but it's just not as big news as, the start of the actual season.
True.
So that's kind of where we're going.
I randomly just thought about that.
I know. It's okay. It's all good. I know. Trust me, I thought about it, but, we want to make sure that the show doesn't go for 2.5 hours. Yeah. So I was like, start of the MLB season or Pete Crow Armstrong and Nico Horner's contract start of the MLB season. So, again, and PCA was a Met, so see ya. Anyway, another contract that ended up being signed.
I think this is an overpay.
Well, listen, it's not the sake of an overpay. I was shocked at the duration, the length of the contract. Travis Kelce signs a $54.7 million deal.
But it's for 3 years.
3 years. A lot of people were saying last year this is the final season for Travis Kelce. Clearly it's not. They signed him. I thought if he was going to sign anything, it was going to be a 1-year deal.
Maybe 2.
Maybe. But now he signs a 3-year deal.
3-year deal?
He's already 36 years old. Is he planning on staying another 3 years?
No.
I don't know. But, yeah, the only reason why I was a little surprised, like I said, he's 36 years old. It's not like he's not talented. The guy is a top 2 tight end in NFL history. I would take Gronk and then him. The stats are there. I mean, just listen. You probably know the resume. I know a lot of people here probably know the resume. But for the sake of maybe some who don't fully know the resume, here you go. You got Travis Kelce is a 3-time Super Bowl champion, 11-time Pro Bowler, 4-time first-team All-Pro, 3-time second-team All-Pro, 2010 All-Decade team member, 3-time... third all-time in receiving yards, third all-time in receptions, 5th all-time in touchdowns amongst tight ends. That's a pretty damn good resume. Yeah. Yeah, he's going to end up going down as, if not, I would say that Gronk is still, again, the number 1.
Gronk is Gronk.
Yeah, but he's going to go down as the number 2 best tight end in NFL history when all is said and done.
Anybody argues Tony Gonzalez? No. Tony Gonzalez is maybe 3.
No, he's up there. It's not maybe 3. He's definitely in consideration for
No,
it.
he's either 3 or 4.
Yeah, there's a couple that we could really.
Antonio Gates.
Antonio Gates is up there. Yep.
And then it's who would you put after
Kellen Winslow, maybe.
Jeremy Shockey?
No,
not Shockey.
no.
No, there's
No disrespect to Shot. I would Jason Witten over.
Oh wait,
Jeremy
I
Shockey.
forgot about Jason Witten.
But no, Jeremy Shockey's not in that conversation. Great player, but no, not that impactful. But yeah, no. So Kelsey did end up
Vernon
getting
Davis.
a lot. No, Vernon Davis ain't there either. What's his name will get there at some point too if he can come back healthy. Kittle.
Kittle, yeah.
But yeah, no. So Kelsey ends up signing, like we said, 3-year, $54 million deal. The 10-year, surprising 3 years. The only reason why I could understand why the 54.7 was a little high is because if you look at his last few seasons, he really hasn't been that great. He hasn't cracked 1,000 yards receiving since 2022. And he actually put up his lowest receiving yard totals the last 2 years. The only other time that he was, or the only other years that he was less, I believe, was his rookie season with 875. But those 2 years these past 2 years, he had less than that. So, I mean, it's definitely a little bit of a concern that this is the worst seasons that he's had since his rookie year. Definitely something to be concerned about. But again, when you have a guy like Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce is still very talented, he's going to get a lot of targets. He's going to get a lot of attention. He's going to get the ball thrown his way. So you know that he's going to start to put up some numbers. Hopefully,
yeah, but Mahomes ain't playing this season.
He's already rehabbing. He's throwing with the knee brace on. He looks like he's doing very well. So there's a lot of time before the next NFL season. He genuinely may be ready. Scary to think about how quick. Another one. This is kind of a this came as a little bit of a surprise, but I saw it coming after a couple signings that we saw over those days. Then I kind of knew it was coming, and that is the Buccaneers linebacker Levante David announcing his retirement from the NFL after 14 seasons. He was a second-round pick in 2012. He decided to call it a career after 14 years. Definitely is successful career for him. He finished with 1,172 solo tackles, 42.5 sacks, 33 forced fumbles, 14 interceptions. Since 1994, he is tied for 6th in tackles, 9th in tackles for loss, and 3rd in forced fumbles. The one that really surprised me, he's one of only 2 players in the last 35 years alongside Julius Peppers to have 40 sacks, 30 forced fumbles, 20 fumble recoveries, and 10 INTs. He finishes as a Super Bowl champion, 3-time All-Pro, and a 12-time team captain. I think that it definitely gives him an opportunity to go to the Hall of Fame in Canton. Now, obviously, I wouldn't think that he would be a first ballot Hall of Famer, but definitely one of the more off-ball linebackers that you're going to see. He was very successful with Tampa Bay for all of those years. Premier talent, definitely played a big part in their Super Bowl run when they had Tom Brady, as well as, their powerful offense, but he was a key piece to that defense. People are already saying that he's one of the best defenders in Buccaneers history. The only one I think that's got the edge on him is Derek Brooks, who is also a linebacker. But again, very, very impressive career from Levante David. Sad to see him go after 14 years, but again, it's been a great career. He definitely deserves all the praise that he's going to get before he officially, gets an opportunity to go to Canton, Ohio. Hopefully he does. But yeah, it should be interesting to see if he ends up getting that bid. Like I said, don't know if it's first round or first ballot Hall of Famer, but I definitely would consider him a Hall of Famer at some point down the line. We got 2 more things we'll touch on really quickly. One of them's more contract related. The other one is a little interesting. It's going to be something that's a little bit out of our comfort zone, but we're not going to dive way too deep into it. But number 4 was Brian Robinson signing a 1-year, $2.5 million deal with the Atlanta Falcons. Robinson in Atlanta.
That's going to be a lot of people are gonna mess up their fantasy drafts.
Yeah.
And
I took Robinson from Atlanta. Yeah, you took Brian Robinson, not Bijan Robinson. On top of the fact that I'm pretty sure it'll say B. Robinson.
Not the full name.
So both of their names start with a B.
Yeah.
That is going to be an issue. So please, fantasy football players beware. If you try to take Bijan, Well, unless you're in my draft. If you don't want to take Bijan, you want to take Brian Robinson, I'll be more than happy to take Bijan. But for anyone else out there, if you see Robinson on the board, double check, triple check to make sure it is Bijan and not Brian Robinson, because you will be punching yourself if it is Brian Robinson.
And you will be getting laughed at by every other league.
Yes, you will. Yes, you will.
League.
There may be a punishment for that alone. I know that there's usually a punishment for coming in last place. If you draft Brian Robinson as a mistake over Bijan, you deserve to be punished for that.
If you have the first pick or a high pick and you take Bijan, you take B. Robinson, and then you're looking at the draft board, and then you see B. Robinson go right after your pick, at that point, just
hang it up.
You know what?
Hang it up.
Tell your boys I'm auto drafting my team. Give me my money back. Find someone else to take my spot. I'm done. Because the amount of there was a video last year. Do you remember? There was these people, these guys. They did their fantasy draft like in real life instead of like.
Oh yes.
And some guy goes, "Oh, I'm taking Bijan Robinson," and he put Brian Robinson's name on the board, and then someone goes, "Dude, that's not Bijan." And he goes, "Do you want to switch it?" Some guy's like, No, we took him. And then he's like, "No, let him switch it. It was an accident." If you're doing that in real life, you can do that. But if you're doing that on ESPN Fantasy and you're like, "Oh, I meant to take Bijan, could you just give him to me?" They're going to be like, "Nope."
Wow. So please do not mess that up. Unless you're in my league, then please mess it up. I'll be more than happy to take Bijan while you take Brian Robinson.
Well, doesn't it also have a picture of their face next to it?
It should, but again, some people just immediately jump the gun and click it. So it could be a mistake, but no one knows. But yeah, no, it was kind of surprising that they signed him. I know that he really hasn't panned out to be the running back that a lot of people expected, especially when you see the names do come out of Alabama as running backs in the past. Guys like Najee Harris, Josh Jacobs, Damian Harris, Derrick Henry. I mean, the names, the list goes on and on.
Has something with him getting shot.
Yeah, he was shot in a robbery in 2022, and he ended up making his debut late in that season, missing a few games. He still posted 797 yards and 2 touchdowns on 205 carries in that season.
He walked out to many men by 50 cents.
He did. He walked out to many men by 50 cents. Then he also ended up posting 700-plus yards in the following 2 seasons, but he had his career high in touchdowns in 2024 with 8. Then he was traded to San Francisco, and he was the backup running back for Christian McCaffrey
who had a
last
healthy
year,
season.
who was fully healthy, which a lot of people did not expect. I mean, he still had a decent workload, but again, he only posted 400 yards, 92 carries, and 2 touchdowns. I think, like you said, I think that having the injury of getting shot kind of slowed him a little bit in his progression in his NFL career. Definitely a shame to see because, like I said, watching him play at Alabama, the guy had a lot of potential, a lot of talent to be a breakout running back in the league. Now he gets another opportunity, but again, it's still being a number 2 running back to Bijan Robinson. But the thing is, Atlanta loves to utilize multiple running backs. I don't know if that will continue under new leadership in Kevin Stefanski, but I would not be surprised if maybe they do try to incorporate him a little bit more into that offense, which is why they decided to sign him. I think that it could end up being a bump-up year for him, and I really hope he does get a good opportunity, because if he can make the most of it, I could see him potentially being a running back 1 in another location, even though we know that running backs are very replaceable and draftable in the NFL. So I hope he really does get an opportunity, but again, he does get a little bit of one in Atlanta, so it'll be curious to see how that pans out for him. The last thing we're going to touch on before we do one little segment, which we're just going to check our phones to see if there's any breaking news.
I'm already doing that right
which
now.
He's kind of already doing. But the last one has to do with something, like I said, it's a little bit out of our comfort zone. We're not going to dive too much.
No, not a little bit. It is a lot
of it out of our comfort zone.
We're not going to touch upon this. We're just bringing it up.
We're just going to bring it up because it's not a good look. But it has to do with Rams wide receiver Puka Nacua ended up being accused of making anti-Semitic comments and biting a woman in an incident stemming back to New Year's Eve of this past year. Obviously, Nakua's lawyer has come out and denied the allegations, saying that the biting was horseplay and that the anti-Semitic comments were not made with multiple sober witnesses in attendance to see everything that happened. They also did say that they are going to countersue and file a defamation lawsuit against the accuser. Now, the big thing is this also did come right after JSN signed his big contract negotiation. I know that there was a big contract negotiation going on with Puka Nacua for his future with the LA Rams. Obviously, JSN was made the highest paid receiver in the NFL. Wouldn't be surprised if Puka is in that same category. But again, the reason why I bring this up is here's my belief on the whole thing. If it ends up being true, now obviously everything is allegations right now. This is why I'm saying this, that we're not really going to get too crazy into it. But if the allegations are true, I would not be surprised if Nacua is punished, most likely fined and suspended by the NFL. Definitely would be the right thing to do if it ends up being true. Now, on the other side, if the allegations come out that it is not true, there's no reason. I know a lot of people are already trying to cancel Puka Nacua because he has been in headlines for some not really good things. It is still a concern. Definitely something to watch out for. But again, I would not be surprised if his status is okay for week 1 if everything comes out and that it is not true. At the end of the day, there are a lot of Rams fans I know that I've seen on social media talking about this, including myself. I'm part of Rams Twitter, so I see a lot of stuff that goes on. In regards to this, I can see where the concern comes from. He has been in headlines between the anti-Semitic stuff from Aiden Ross's stream a couple of months ago, which ended up happening last year, actually before this incident, as well as this one, along with him being out in public drunk and, stumbling and partying and whatever. It has not been a good look. Now, a lot of people are very strict on him. He has, even after all of these other incidents, he did have that one game where I think it was the Aiden Ross incident. They said, Puka's not going to be locked in. He came out and put up like 12 catches for 170-something yards and 2 touchdowns. Now, granted, still not a good look. For him, what he needs to do, he's young, a little immature still. He's going through a little bit of a party phase. It's definitely something that needs to be addressed. He needs to be a lot smarter when it comes to him going out and doing this stuff, because as a big wide receiver and a big name now in the NFL, there are going to be a lot of people that are trying to stir the pot, and they are going to put you in the spotlight. You need to be very careful about what you do. Now, again, like I said, we don't know if the allegations are true or false. As a Rams fan, I'm hoping that they are not true. I hope that they are false, that it is just a thing to try and shake him down, like his lawyer is saying. But at the end of the day, I really hope that this isn't true. If it is, I would not be surprised if he is punished, and rightfully so. Just, again, very, very tough to go through right now, especially with, his contract negotiations most likely coming up very shortly in his career. Definitely not something you want to see, but I'm hoping that his status is okay for week 1. Hopefully everything clears up. I'm not taking a stance on any side. Like I said, I'm just going to wait and see for the, all of the proof to come out, all of the evidence possible. It will end up going to trial. That's where you make the decision from there. I'm not going to jump the gun and, side one on the other. It's not right because, again, he's one of my favorite players that I've watched when it comes to actual on-the-field stuff. Very, very talented player, deserving of a big contract. I just really hope that this whole situation doesn't mess it up, and he's just got to be a little bit smarter down the road. But we shall see. Like I said, not going to go into too much crazy detail other than that. Any breaking news?
Actually, yes. Jason Hayward has officially announced his retirement from MLB after 16 seasons spent with the Braves, Cardinals, Cubs, Dodgers, Astros, and Padres.
Wow.
He is an all-star, 5-time Gold Glove winner, and 2016 World Series champion with the Cubs.
Wow. I'm kind of surprised. That's very, very shocking.
Yeah, I was not I just refreshed the feed, too, and that was the first thing that I saw. He literally was posted a minute ago. Which, good thing I refreshed the feed, because usually it's the second we get out of the studio.
Well, the other thing that I just saw, which has to do with the Rangers, too, is that the rookie from Boston College, Drew Fortescue, should be making his NHL debut with the Rangers tonight. I know that was very sought after. He's been very exciting to watch in college. I know that he had a lot of hype behind him when he was there with the Rangers star player now in Gabe Perreault. They were both teammates at Boston College, so I know that there was a lot of hype behind him too. I've kind of been awaiting to see how he does at the NHL level, so that is definitely something as well too. So there's going to be a lot of people that should be there for his debut tonight.
This isn't breaking news, but we didn't really talk about this, but I want to quickly graze over it. Barry Bonds is almost a Yankee.
I know, I saw that article the other day too.
Yeah.
I did see that article the other day, too. The NBA, it looks like, also presented 3 anti-tanking proposals, which is a little bit surprising. Well, not surprising, but, I know that they've been talking about trying to focus more on the anti-tanking, so it's a good thing that they're starting to follow through with it a little bit. The other one, which came out last night, I'm surprised I didn't mention this either. This was kind of shocking. Was Alec Boehm suing his parents?
Oh yeah, that did come.
Because supposedly they were going into his account and using some of the money that he had to pay for some of their own expenses, and now he's suing them for a couple $1 million.
Parents.
That's what I was going to say. The parents have done so much for you their whole life. You don't think you could share a little bit of the money? You're going to be that mad and go and sue your own parents? I mean, listen, I get it. From the business side of it, it makes sense. If someone's, taking money out of your account and spending it without your approval, I get it. But dude, it's your parents. It's not like it's a random person. It's the people that raised you. That was I couldn't believe when I saw that last night. I heard somebody talking about it. I went, what? Suing his parents? And they were like, oh yeah, he's suing his parents. I'm going, what? On top of the fact that, something that we did not mention either is the NCAA tournament continues
tonight.
UConn.
Well, it continued last night.
Well, it did continue last night, but
UConn plays Michigan State University. It's a 2 seed versus a 3 seed.
Yeah, that should be a very good game.
No, it's going to be a very good game. And I do think that if there's one team that does prevent UConn from going all the way, it's going to be
Yeah, and then my former school also plays tonight against Michigan. The University of Alabama takes on Michigan in the tournament to see who advances to the Elite Eight. Couple big upsets so far too, and like Purdue. Well, that wasn't really an upset, but Texas blowing it to Purdue and losing after their little Cinderella run.
Yeah, Texas went on a Cinderella run.
A little bit. That was probably the biggest one out of anybody else. All their other seeds are like much higher up. You know?
Yeah, I was kind of pulling for Texas.
I was a little bit. It's good to see like a later seed kind of go on a nice run. I took a lot of them.
They weren't even that low. They were like the 11 seed.
Yeah, and then Iowa knocked off Nebraska, I believe. Was it the other day? And they advanced.
I think Houston lost. Did Houston lose last night? I think Houston might lost to Illinois.
Yes, they did. Houston lost by 10 points to Illinois.
That was crazy. We were out last night. I was out with my buddy, and it was like 15 minutes left in the second half, and Houston was down by 8, and I'm like, Houston's gonna lose. He goes, what?
Yeah.
I'm like.
On top of the fact that my pick to win the whole thing, Arizona did win big last night as well, too. So, I don't know what he just stuck on the window. But, yeah, no, so that was definitely a very interesting day of basketball. Let's see what other games they got on tap.
I can't read it.
I can't read it. Oh, well, today's actually a very good slate of basketball. You have Alabama versus Michigan. You have Michigan State versus UConn. You have Tennessee versus Iowa State. And you have St. John's versus Duke.
St. John's versus Duke is
going to be good.
Those
are going to
What time does UConn play?
That is a 9:45 game tonight. They have the late game. But those are going to be some great games.
St. John's versus Duke?
That's going to be a great game. I took St. John's to win and go to the final, so I'd love to see that. But, yeah, that should definitely be a very interesting
you took
thing.
Arizona.
Well, no, I took Arizona to win. I took St. John's to go to the final and lose to Arizona.
Oh.
So it should be very interesting to see how that all plays out anyway, too, because, like I said, you're going to have a lot of good games coming up in the next couple days or so. But that being said, we are going to wrap up the show. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the Straight Outta Stratford podcast, episode number 38. I am your host, Zach.
And I am Julian.
And we will see you guys next week.